Chapter 12:16. Patience will ultimately pay off. City of Silver, at the top of the spire in the chief's room. With white hair and an old scar on his face, Colin Iliad looked out of the window at the deep darkness. It was only when a silvery white light suddenly burst out from afar, bringing a few seconds of light, that he retracted his gaze and nodded slightly. Chermont has succeeded in advancing. His gaze landed on the 2-meter-tall youth, standing in the middle of the room. Derek, do you know why I kept delaying the subsequent plans and didn't implement them after the first exploration of the Giant King's Court, despite already becoming a Sequence 3 Silver Knight? Derek thought for a moment and said, Your Excellency, on the one hand, you wish to see if there are any other paths you can take to the seaside. On the other hand, you are waiting for the other elders of the 6-member council to advance to Sequence 3. And now, both matters were completed. Nearly 5 months ago, an expedition team of the City of Silver discovered a hidden path. From there, they circled around the mountain where the Giant King's Court was located, and they arrived at the sea. However, the sea was illusory, and there was no way to pass through it. Forcefully entering the water only caused bodies to gradually crumble. Now, another demigod of the 6-member council, Waite Chermont, had finally advanced, becoming a Sequence 3 Silver Knight. He could have an honorific name and receive the prayers of the other residents of the City of Silver within a certain range. Colin Iliad sighed and said, Very good. You have a very well-rounded understanding of the situation. If I had a choice, I truly do not wish to bring you to the Giant King's Court again and attempt to open the palace where Dark Angel lays in slumber. At this point, Demon Hunter Colin paused for a moment before continuing, I do not know what danger such an expedition will bring. I can only make ample preparations in advance. Now, Chermont has finally succeeded. Even if an accident happens later and we are unable to return, he and the other elders will be able to support the City of Silver, allowing everything to continue on as we await the next opportunity. He sized up Derek for a few seconds before nodding in acknowledgement. Your growth is even better than I expected. If not for the fact that the Giant King's Court matter originated because of you, I'd really want to keep you in the City of Silver and be an understudy elder of the 6-member council. Upon hearing this, Derek Berg replied without hesitation, Even if you wish to keep me here in the City of Silver, I would still apply to go. This was a glimmer of hope that he had seen. This was an opportunity in his heart that could save the City of Silver. He was willing to sacrifice everything for it. Colin Iliad gave a rare smile. You are still too young. After you experience many things like me, you will understand that compared to drawing your sword and sacrificing your blood in a zealous fervor, enduring humiliation and helplessness, and persisting in the darkness is even more difficult and painful. If you don't believe me, you can ask Chermont later. Ask him if he is willing to lead an expedition team to the Giant King's Court or stay in the City of Silver. Derek fell into silence, his mouth agape, but not a single word came out of it. Colin Iliad didn't continue on this topic and instead asked, Have you completely digested the Priest of Light potion? I digested it completely last week, Derek replied frankly. Colin Iliad nodded and said, Have you gathered all the supplementary ingredients? Derek acknowledged tersely. I've gathered all of them, I'm just short of preparing the ritual. His ritual required him to extract the strongest emotions that he was unwilling to abandon, before injecting them again after consuming the potion. After a few gatherings with the Tarot Club, as well as Miss Justice's private attempts, they had already come up with a well-formulated plan. He was to complete it by relying on the Sequence 4 manipulator's control of the Psyche domain, and Mr. Fool's Angel's embrace. Demon Hunter Colin didn't rush him as he calmly said, Don't be anxious. The second exploration of the Giant King's Court will still take some time. Until I become an unshadowed, Derek asked. Colin Iliad didn't deny it, as he nodded slightly. I'm also waiting for Lovia to become a Black Knight. Her ingredients and ritual have been prepared. Upon hearing this, Derek immediately felt pressured. At the capital of the Rorsted Archipelago, City of Generosity, Bayam, at the top of the bell tower of the City of Generosity. The Cardinal of the Church of Storms, the high-ranking deacon of the mandated Punishers, see King John Cotman, stood behind the railing, looking at the sea, which was no longer that blue. There was wreckage floating above it, burning with the remains of ships. "Humph, in my territory at sea, even a war bishop has to bow his head." The muscular demigod with a chiseled face retracted his gaze as he muttered. He had a head of dark blue hair and a pair of deep blue eyes that were as thick as a worm. He controlled the weather and sea around the Rørsted archipelago. Alger Wilson, who was standing beside the Sea King, didn't show any signs of frustration. He patiently waited until John Cotman turned his attention onto him. Aside from most of the beyonders of the sailor pathway being bad-tempered, they often trembled in submission when facing high-sequence beyonders of the same pathway. This was a characteristic of a tyrant. After muttering to himself, Sea King John Cotman finally cast his gaze at Alger, who was leading a pirate fleet. He said without any expression, "Your performance this time was remarkable. The Council of Cardinals has passed your review and has decided that I will preside over your advancement ritual." After receiving the item left behind by Queen of Calamity Kohinum, Alger found an opportunity to report the matter to Sea King John Cotman. Apart from 2 details that he modified, he had given an honest account of the exploration of the Elven ruins from the time he arrived in the primitive forest of Sanya Island. Firstly, he claimed that he had headed for the Elven ruins as part of him taking the initiative to ambush the Phasacian troops. They had specially looked for a suitable venue, and there were many sailors present to verify it. The second was to lessen the autonomy of the subsequent actions. He only claimed that he dreamed of a female high elf on the night of his exploration of the ruins. Nothing abnormal happened after he drank a glass of wine from her, so he hadn't paid too much attention to it. When he came to the Rørsted archipelago and woke up one night from his sleep, he suddenly realized that he had entered a magnificent palace at the bottom of the sea and had picked up a sparking coral. Although many aspects of the evidence and physical evidence had indicated that Alger's description was real, Sea King John Cotman didn't fully believe it. He was sent back to Passu Island to be investigated by the Pontiff, Gard II. With the help of Angel's Embrace, Alger looked like he was trembling in front of the tyrant's aura. Without holding back, he explained that he had developed a certain degree of ambition after meeting the female high elf in his dreams. For this, he had taken the initiative to head to the Rørsted archipelago in hopes of receiving her inheritance, but in reality, he had covered up the core secrets and the most serious problem. He had used the method of confessing his ambition to pass the investigation. As for the female high elf, whether it was a result of him having some elven blood that a fortuitous encounter was given to him, or if she had any hidden motives, he claimed that he was unsure. He hoped that the pontiff could figure out the answer to lessen his worries. Alger displayed his fear of the unknown, making the cardinals believe that this was the main reason why he had reported the fortuitous encounter. This proposal was designed by Alger himself, but with Miss Justice's suggestions, it was tweaked to be more in line with human nature. Of course, as expected, Alger didn't receive the advancement ritual. Instead, he entered an inspection period. The pontiff of the Church of Storms, the grounded angel, had reinforced the seal in Alger's body, preventing the cataclysmic intera characteristic from seeping out for 2 years and affecting him. In the past half a year, Alger had led the pirate fleet that had been assigned to him. He had worked hard to harass the ships of Phasac and Phaenopotter. He had even participated in sea battles, taking great risks and making numerous contributions. This fully expressed his devotion to the Lord of Storms, as well as his submission to the orders given by the Church. Finally, after this Rørsted sea battle, the situation had escalated. His patience paid off as the Council of Cardinals acknowledged him. Alger took a deep breath and struck his right fist to his left breast, shouting loudly, "Holy Lord of Storms." His agitation was half an act, while the other half came from the bottom of his heart. This was because in the past half year, he had suffered quite a bit of pressure. Ma'am Hermit had already finished digesting the mysticologist potion and was preparing to advance to sequence 3, Clairvoyant. Although Miss Justice had yet to fully digest the manipulator potion, she had made significant progress. Furthermore, she was a complete rookie when she first joined the Tarot Club. Now, she had become a true demigod. She wasn't just a sequence higher than Alger, but a whole tier. Before long, the sun could advance to sequence 4, unshadowed, and obtain godhood. The star had also finished digesting the sequence 5 potion and had accumulated a significant amount of contributions. He was just waiting for the higher-ups to give him a chance. Miss Magician wasn't far from digesting her potion after traveling time and time again. Furthermore, her teacher had prepared the corresponding sequence 4 secret sorcerer ingredients for her. There was no need to mention the world Jayam Sparrow. Even if he were to suddenly inform them that he was an angel, Alger wouldn't find it surprising. Miss Judgment was currently a sequence 5 disciplinary paladin. She was digesting the potion and was trying her best to keep up with everyone's progress. The Moon, who didn't like to work hard, became anxious as a result and was seeking to become a sanguine earl. Faced with such a situation, as one of the most senior members of the Tarot Club, Alger naturally didn't wish to be left behind. He desperately wished to advance to sequence 4 and become a demigod. So many days had gone by, yet he suppressed his anxiety and patiently waited. There were 2 instances where he showed signs of losing control, which required him to hire Miss Justice to treat him. And now, he finally got the answer he wanted the most. He had passed the assessment and was to prepare for the ritual.